They're all over the place.
Well, I need some. Okay, good.
He's got to take.
From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Don't look so stiff. This is Councilman Kaz Kwiatkowski along with my good friend, DJ. And,
I'm Dave Paradiso from
see,
Cat TV and Area Makerspace.
and we also have the peanut gallery out here today.
We have our Ohio viewer sitting
Yeah, we
in
have
the
the
audience.
state of Ohio is represented in the front row.
Yes.
So we're under pressure now.
Yeah.
We got an audience.
Audience, yep.
I do have a problem, though. I realized by looking at the monitor, I've been obviously sitting here for 3 weeks because the last 3 or 4 shows we've aired, I always have the same shirt. So I'm gonna
never
fix
leaves.
this. I'm fixing this because I want to make sure people know that I'm not just wearing the same shirt over and over.
This is
again.
going too far now.
This is going too far. Yep, that's it. It's
Hey, that's
over.
an official shirt.
It's over. It's no more.
It's an official
There we go,
shirt.
yeah.
I got.
So
another
you're
shirt.
putting off the shackles of
Yes.
mundanism.
You thought it was about to get
Mediocrity is
inappropriate.
now gone, right?
It was going to get inappropriate, but luckily I remembered to put another shirt on.
So now you've had a whole week to survey.
Oh yes, I have things to talk about. The garage on 12th Street.
Yes, what about it?
A lot of cars are gone.
Yes.
Yes.
There's only 2 or 3 cars left sitting there on that lot. What
Well-
happened?
That garage cleared up pretty well.
After all the, let's see.
How many years?
Well, it started when Jim Thompson and I had the show.
Yeah.
That was well over, approaching 15, 16 years ago. And the judicial system in its speed. I think everybody finally
Well, it's finally processed through.
the code enforcement to finally the
So
judicial system has finally got the problem.
the person that owned it no longer owns it, and it's a new owner.
That's my understanding.
That's
but,
why it's probably been fixed.
But
Good.
I mean, the problem is like we can cite and all that, and that's our part. We have to
Yeah.
be more vigilant citing, because once it gets in the judicial system, it's like a nightmare too.
Yeah.
And
You
sometimes,
have so many correct records and everything written up.
well, what we're hoping is with our new land bank quality of life ticketing system we're going to have, and
Yeah.
if we get our own DJ,
I'm right here.
not
Not you, DJ, a regular DJ. Yeah.
Yeah, if we do that, we'll be able to expedite the process, because I think a lot of citizens here are getting a little tired, especially, like, you look at that factory on 12th, and there's another one,
Yeah.
12th and Bayfront.
Well, one problem we've had is that we went from a long time ago from being reactive to proactive.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Yeah, proactive. No, proactive to reactive, right? And I've heard that some of the departments now, seeing the changes that are happening and the fact that we're getting a new mayor, they're becoming proactive again.
Well, we need to be, you know what,
Yeah.
you got a problem that, hey, it didn't happen overnight, and it's certainly not going away overnight.
Yeah. It's going to get better, though. I know that code enforcement has been out in droves already finding neighborhoods that had a lot of issues, and they're taking care of some of the issues. I actually stopped upstairs, left a message with the secretary at code enforcement, forgetting to call back. I never called back. A couple of days later, like the day before Easter, they sent a truck out to the house next door, boarded up windows, and cleaned up most of the garbage.
Well, we
I
turned
was
in,
impressed.
I turned in 2 this week alone, new ones.
Yeah.
They got taken care of to some degree, they're.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what you can find that's not even visible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you walk an alley and you think
Yeah.
everything's okay, and then all of a sudden you look and you go, wait a minute, that car's got flat tires.
Or tree
Yeah, how
growing
long-
out of it. Remember that one? How's that one going? Is that truck with the tree growing in the back of it still down on the east side?
No, I think that one's gone. There was one on Huron Street one time that I was questioned years ago by nobody presently at code enforcement.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I would buy your theory that, it's been there for a little bit and it's being worked on, except that the vegetation had grown out of it, and Rocky Raccoon, who seems to reside there, I think
That's
those
his
things
home.
are, yeah,
He got evicted.
That's awesome. Oh,
Well, that's what you get, when you get that, that's bad. That's a start of,
Well, it's been sitting there forever. You kind of have to do something with it.
I don't know. I just died when I saw that. I was like, the tree growing from the ground went through the truck and is now part of the
oh,
truck.
that will happen. That will happen. I've seen buildings where that will happen, where a tree will grow right in the middle of it.
This is
There's
true.
a place on 12th Street over on, I think it's 12th and Cherry, that you can see that there's trees growing in the top of the building.
Wow.
That's the old
Nobody
medieval
ever,
iron.
well, nobody ever took, just, it's rooted with dirt.
Yeah, and it's just left there. It's
No, but things are getting better. I mean, it looks like things are going to be moving in a direction.
Well, let's hope, because you know what, the only way you're going to get people to move back in the city is with hope, with,
need to rejuvenate.
Yeah.
You have to
Step
have
at
a
a-
reason for people to come back.
a step at a time.
Yep.
Say what
Yep.
you-
Cool.
It's like, how'd the wise man say, how do you dig the hole? One shovelful at a time,
Yep.
Unless you got a backhoe.
Then it's one scoop at a time.
One scoop at a time, yeah.
That's like the old eternal question, how big can a hole be?
Yeah. Depends on how, who's digging.
Can you dig a
tractor.
Well, DJ pondered this one time. He was told to dig 2.5 holes. He was still going at it 3 days later.
Yep. It happens.
So anything else that you noticed, or?
I can't remember if I had anything else. Did I have anything else, viewer from Ohio? I didn't have a list this time.
We were talking about how we haven't done things in town that we would look at all this time.
There's a lot of stuff in town. Like, we actually are planning on going to the Erie Art Museum because I've been here for 20 years and I've only
Never been there.
I went there once 20 years ago for a project for work, but I haven't gone just to enjoy it ever since all the new improvements.
Well, you would have, go ahead.
All that work and stuff. haven't
Yeah,
seen
all the new stuff and the Maritime Museum.
And what's
I haven't
interesting
ever
is
been in
it
Maritime
wraps
Museum.
around, too, the
Yeah.
art museum.
Yeah.
You would have liked the one exhibit. They had these old comic books in there.
Oh, cool.
They had comic book art, they called it.
That,
And they showed like Stan Lee and these guys,
that would be cool.
It was, because, you look at how graphic
Yeah.
like Superman was, and if you look,
Yeah.
if you don't look at what the subject matter is, you find out it's pretty good artwork.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, they put a lot of time and effort into it as well. I mean, it's an art.
Not so much anymore today, though. Comic
Now
books,
it's
they
different than it was. The way
Yeah.
they
you
printed.
looked at the old facial features. They were like, wow,
Well, they actually cared about the detail. Now it's
It was
how
like
many copies we can get out as fast as we can.
oh, it's like an Erie paper. I love Peanuts, but Peanuts is pretty simple,
Yeah.
Although it's, it is an art form the way it is. Then you looked at like Mary Worth or Rex Morgan or some of these other ones. You go, ooh, look at the artwork, and they were,
Yeah.
Or in Guilthorpe, everybody looked the same.
Yeah.
Same square face.
How about Garfield? That's a classic.
Yeah, it's still around.
Maybe not art, but...
But no, that's the art museum's good. The Maritime Museum,
Yeah, I haven't been there. It's only
It-
$10 to go in. I
I've
Interesting.
actually been there. It's a pretty nice place.
Yeah.
They've got it, first and second floor, and some of the old maps of our,
they give you they show
history
you
of how the,
they show you how the Battle Lake area, the size of the cannonballs and
Yeah.
how the wood was ripped apart, and
Yeah, yeah.
there's some nautical fishing. You ever been out to Ridge Center?
I have been to the Tom Ridge Center. I've been to the Maritime Bayfront. What's the
Maritime Center.
this Maritime Center? I've been to that.
Yeah, that's where they do some of the kids'
Obviously,
programs and
Dobbins
stuff.
Landing. I've gone up in the tower. That's free, I think, on Tuesdays.
Even go
It
to
was actually
like
free.
when my grandkids are up here, we go to the Children's Museum. That's
Children's Museum.
they're constantly upgrading that.
Right over there on French Street. So yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff to go to, but I've realized that all the time I've been here, I haven't done anything.
But some of the museums aren't bad either. They're
Yeah.
starting to change a little bit. They're
Yeah.
getting into.
Well, they're updating some of it and getting new content, which
Yeah.
helps draw people in because
There's a
new
lot
stuff
of
you want to see.
there's a lot of stuff that people have in the city that's not displayed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there used to be because it was a lack of confidence. Oh, here we go.
First caller.
Yeah.
You get the honors.
Which one? Which button?
Right.
Hello, caller.
Yes,
Howdy.
Is this John?
it's me.
There you are, Pinky Lee.
He wants to talk to you guys today, but I will.
Go ahead.
I was watching some of the candidates' debates for mayor,
Yeah.
and they're planning on like it's going to be an 8 or 10 year deal for this comprehensive plan and the Buki plan.
Well, he stresses, Buki does, by his own words, it's a 10-year living document, meaning he laid it out for 10 years, but
What did he lay it out for?
yeah, but you have to adjust it every, like say you're into year 2.
$2 million a year.
Well, his number was, and this is a shocker, but he presented 3 plans to us, John.
Yeah.
He put it like if you went to the hospital. Do you want to go to the emergency room? They'll patch you up, send you home, and then you'll die. Or do you want to go to the emergency room? They'll patch you up, and you got a 50-50 chance you might get better, you might not. Or do you want to go to the emergency room, get taken care of, and then, get healed? So he said, the Cadillac plan was 10 years, $650 million. Quick math, $65 million a year. Now, that had to come from a private-public partnership, because there's no way, and he even said we might have to, under an extreme condition, we would have to raise taxes maybe twice as high. Now, this is a consultant coming in from out of town, right?
Getting $60,000 to do an evaluation of the area he's in,
Yeah.
not knowing the understanding what kind of shape we're in.
Right, but he said as you go through this plan, the plan can be adjusted, much like any other plan, like as you take little segments of the plan, you get them accomplished. There's nothing said that this plan can't go on like another year or 2 after that even. It can go as long as you want, but this was only a 10-year window, a quick snapshot, as they say.
So, you can take a horse a stream to have him drink water.
Right.
And if he doesn't want to drink the water, what happens?
Yep.
And then these narrators, there was Cuneo, there was Sean, and the gal that her dad has a construction company. What's her name?
Lisa Austin?
No, I'm not talking about the candidates.
Oh, you
I'm
mean
talking about the narrators.
Oh, I'm not sure, but
McCormick's kid used to work for him.
I'm trying to remember now. McCormick?
Pardon?
McCormick?
Yeah, that's it. Lisa McCormick.
Have you read the plan, John?
I looked through some of it, and you got a whole situation here. The environment is completely different, and these people were asking the same questions, all 3 of them, and they were getting wild card answers.
Well, you know what? Here's what they won't. If you read the report, and I would tell you if you have some time, it's on the computer, or you can borrow my copy. I'll deliver it to you. I read it twice, and it's amazing how people pick and choose, much like they do the Bible, what they want to believe in it.
Are you confused by reading it more than once?
No,
I mean, you read it.
It's pretty. John, and I'm not going to demean the gentleman. He did a nice job, okay? But he didn't tell us anything most of us didn't already know. What he did do was he put it, he went and researched the facts and figures, backed up his arguments with numbers, and then made suggestions.
But where did he get his facts, figures, and numbers, and what is he comparing them to?
I'll give you an example. Years ago, it must have been 2 censuses ago, I was picked at random by the federal government, and they asked me if I would like to be a participant in further studies for the next 10 years. And they would call me up once a month, and they'd say, have you changed jobs? Has your income level changed? Has your place of employment changed? Has anything in your life changed? Are you still married, et cetera, et cetera? It was quick, and what they do, they update that, John. So, what he did, he went down to the courthouse, got the assessed value of the city and the properties. They have people that do that. You can do the same thing if you had the staff. He went around and checked, the quantitative numbers that are out there for anybody, put them all together in a concise plan, and then divided the city up into color zones, best expressing, red, yellow, and green zones.
Yeah,
right. And then, but the thing is, okay, it was a plan. We hired him to look at, we could have done the same thing, but it carries more weight, especially when the government demands that you have to do this report. So, when you bring somebody in that's a recognized expert, That's what you get out of the report. But the report said some things that nobody ever brings up. Number one, the whole region, not just the city, is supposed to share in all the things that go with being a metropolitan area. In other words, not all the social service agencies should be in the city. Not all the retail should be here and all that. For everything to work, it's like he was looking at the city, but he said,
He's looking more at the county and the whole region.
they have to help us too. We can't have all the tax exempts in the city.
And bullseye one area.
Yeah, we can't have all the tax exempts. Like you and I talk all the time, the person on the street, they get a little mad about hearing hotels that make money that don't pay taxes. Vincent pays taxes and Hammett pays taxes. The colleges don't pay taxes, and we don't have a revenue problem. I mean, we would be okay if we could collect some of the revenue we had.
We have a regular problem. It's called the Chamber. It's called all these other places. They're not getting to bring business in.
Right.
The government's job is not to bring business in.
I want to see them go to a place, and I do it all the time. I mean, I do it on a small scale. I'll go up to wherever I do business. I'll say, how come you don't have a store near you? Man, they'll tell you straight out. And I say, well, what would make you want to come here? What would you need? Do you need a tax break? We don't have the land, the proper zoning for you. We don't have enough land in one area for you. That's what they have to start asking. They have to go out there and recruit.
It's just like they were asking them about all these vacant homes. There's supposed to be 4,700 homes that are vacant or not on the roll. How can these people get on the roll if they don't have enough money to rehabilitate these homes? And these people don't want to buy repositories. They want to put a fence up, lawn, and not pay tax on the total existence of their lots and the property they bought.
Well, what we hope, John, is that with the land bank, we are going to take these properties, and instead of them just ending up empty fields, we're going to try to work with qualified builders who have shown that they can do it, and work with them to put these properties back on the tax roll.
Well, you got one out there that's going to try and put them on the tax roll, and I'll tell you, within 5 years, he's going to bail out.
Who's that?
At Bayview Heights or whatever.
Why do you think that?
I have a feeling.
Oh.
I won't say over the air. I don't want to discourage anybody, but it's going to be like the Boston store up the street. They had all great plans for the Boston store.
Yeah.
They had all great plans for the Kohler project. They had all great plans for the juice plant. These were Rendell's babies that went down the tubes.
Yep,
City got stuck again.
Sometimes we have to quit looking for the home run.
Yeah, I think that the thing I don't see in the city a lot is there's not a whole lot of small business.
There you
I mean, I've gone to
there you
smaller.
go.
I mean, I'm originally from Dunkirk, New York, and I've seen smaller locations where their main street's just full of small mom and pop shops.
Well, there's the segue I was going to say to John and you, and instead of looking for the home run,
Right.
looking for.
You have to go for that base hit.
Yeah, they're waiting for GM to bring, or U.S. Steel, or Miller Brewing, and over the years, remember, John?
It's true.
But a lot of the factories that are big now in Erie,
Started out as small shops.
in somebody's back garage. Erie Tech was a prime example. A couple guys tinkering around in their garage, and all of a sudden they became bigger than life. And maybe that, let's take Smith's Provision.
At least I saw where some of our loan money went, and the gentleman did a nice job on his building up there on Pine Avenue.
Oh, you mean the Dairy Queen?
Yes.
And there's an example, too. On a small scale, our revolving loan fund lent money to him. Now, he stabilized that store, which is,
It's good for business to keep the place open.
Yeah, it's good for, Erie. He hires a lot of kids in the summer, puts a lot of people to work, I know, I agree with you, John, and that's what we have to, when you have people like...
It took him a little time. I don't know if he manipulated the money that you gave him and made money on the money he was holding until he went to work.
Well, the problem he had was when we gave him the money, He was having a disagreement with, I was told with...
With the doctor down the street?
No, with the builder on pricing and everything, so...
That's another problem the city gets in. They get into all these different areas like new fascia and all that. But you have to hire the city contractor, and the city contractor is higher than the contractor you can get yourself.
I don't know about that rule, but...
Well, I'll tell you, you can go down the hardware store on Parade Street. I won't mention it, but he found out it's quicker for him to do it himself, and he could do it 50 or 60% cheaper than the contractors the city wanted to have him employ to do the work. So there's a lot to be done. There's a lot of avenues, a lot to look. And I'll tell you the truth, I wasn't impressed with any of the candidates for the mayor.
Well, we try to keep this non-political, John, so...
But I'm just saying, I wasn't impressed with any of them.
But, hey, you know, keep trying, and you know what? Wherever you go around the city, you know, ask these guys, you know, think about putting something up in the city.
Well, DJ, was that what you expected or what?
I haven't gotten to it yet.
It's heavy.
Ooh, you know what? I forgot to bring it today.
Kaz didn't get it to me.
Out in the rain.
I'll bring it to you, because you know what? I got to come back downtown tomorrow anyway.
All right.
Okay, I'll get off in case anybody wants to comment on the chamber and the downtown partnership or any of the things that are supposed to do great things. And put a mall down there where we'll get all kinds of shopping and the whole shot like we had way back in the late 50s where Saturday nights and Friday nights you couldn't find a parking spot.
Hey, John, it's looking for someone to occupy that seat. We're still waiting for you, John.
Yeah,
We got plenty of room.
I'm finally getting to get around here. I'm just starting to get some steam. So.
I'll pick you up.
Good, yeah.
Okay.
See you, John.
See ya. I'm a fan of small businesses and keeping it local.
Absolutely. But, you know, we think about this, like Smith's Provision.
Yeah.
Local.
Yep.
All of a sudden they're in Pittsburgh now, you know.
Exactly.
That's what happens. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz.
Yes.
I got something to tell you. You know what's wrong with I'm talking about the downtown State Street area for businesses.
Yeah.
People do not like parking meters. I'm telling you. Erie's a weird town where they like to go out to the mall, Summit, all the free parking, but they hate to come down into downtown Erie. And I talked to a lot of them that like the Plymouth Hammers. It's a good place, but they don't like to come down here because they can't find parking. So they'll go up on Upper P Street and go to one of them restaurants. Parking meters is a downfall of State Street. You cannot want people to come down and feed those meters and go shopping at these little stores.
Yeah.
And it's like them high rises that you want to do, like on 12th and Peach. You're supposed to. They're $200,000 or whatever you are. You're never going to sell that in Erie.
Well, they were taken over by Rick Griffith now, so I don't think they're the same game plan.
The high rises, like for the low income, Methodist Towers and all those places. Yeah, you're going to fill them up because you know they're a different situation.
Yeah.
Get some young executive to go on these other ones. This is not Pittsburgh. Erie is a weird town for this kind of thing. And it's not going to work. Just like on 14th and State, there's that building that's been empty for 5, 6, 7 years now.
Well, you confused me on one thing, though. You said it's hard to find parking, yet when they build surface lots, people don't like those either, you know, or parking ramps.
But they don't like them either, no. They'll go to the ball games and that, but I'm talking about coming downtown and going through the little stores on State Street. To go shopping.
What would be your solution? So, I mean...
Tear down, take the parking meters out, or take half of them out on one side of the street, or every other one or something. People like to run in and go shopping, but they don't want to feed that meter.
Well, the problem there, I can tell you the one problem will be controlling who parks there and for what period of time.
Right, but the point I'm making is...
Yeah, I agree with you, but I've had merchants come to me the other way and tell me,
They've had cars parked there for so long and they can't get them out.
They wanted shorter-term meters so that people didn't camp out there.
Right. Well, the other thing
But-
I've seen is like there's the parking lots that have tons of meters in it, but then nobody parks there because
Right.
it's too expensive.
Go ahead, I'm waiting for another solution.
People don't want to feed
Yeah.
the parking meters $1 or $2.
Right.
Up it. They want to go out to the mall or Summit or even our plazas on Liberty Plaza or what's like that. They can go there and park for free, and they can
Yeah.
go in the store and browse around, stay there for a half hour, and they don't have to worry about the parking meters or find a parking meter. That's the problem. I'm telling you, you could do that. You could do anything you want down on State Street, but you're not going to get the people down here because of them parking meters.
But you know, I can remember when I was a young man, during the golden age of well, not the golden age, but the tail end of the golden age, back in the 60s.
Right, I was around.
Okay, and I was working the parking ramp as a young college kid, and at that time we offered free parking in the ramps, and people are still moaning that, you know, and I'm going, the trouble is, I'm not disagreeing with you. I've traveled a lot of cities our size, and I'm talking about Allentown, Bethlehem, Reading, Lancaster, Harrisburg. They still all use meters, although they're state-of-the-art ones now, which we're working on. But I haven't yet seen a big city really abandon parking and give free parking that way.
Well, see,
Erie's different than these other cities. I'm telling you, Erie's is a different type of town.
But I think that some of the merchants, like this gentleman here said, I can remember when I worked in the private sector, we had parking meters in front of our building. Well, the guys that worked at the post office would park there for like 6 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
And because that's all they could do. And so, you know, the merchants then, like, that were in the area would say, you know, they wanted short-term meters because they wanted turnover because I guess, you know, it's going to be that endless argument, and I see your point, but I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Think about it. In the 50s and 60s, the Boston store was going big guns
Yeah.
and all downtown. There wasn't any mall. The mall didn't come into play until about 1975, somewhere around there, 1976.
Right.
And that's when the downtown started to dry up.
But remember, there's no free parking at the mall.
There's no free parking.
No, that's a myth, okay? When any business, you know, I learned this, like, in any business, that nothing is free, okay? You think it's free because you're not paying, but the minute you buy something, you're paying for that parking lot.
Well, people don't understand that.
No, they don't, and that's and that's the big problem you got is that if the merchants ran the parking in the city, you know, that would make sense. You know, they could finance it on their own somehow.
I was up Saturday night up to the TJ Fridays eating. The place was completely packed. There was people waiting in the hallway, and all the other restaurants all through that whole area was just, the parking lots were just jammed with people waiting to go eat, or they're eating already. And I'm telling you, that's what's going on. Everybody goes up in that area. There's several different restaurants. They're doing great up in that area.
I don't want to break your bubble on one thing, but some towns are starting to charge on malls. Mm-hmm. They got parking ramps attached, and they're starting to charge.
Well, I don't know, but I'll just talk about what's happening now.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying about the restaurants up there, but, you know, I think we got a lot of great restaurants in the city area. They're not chain restaurants, but...
I know we do. Plymouth is a good example. I talked to a lot of my friends, and they don't want to go down to Plymouth. Plymouth has very good food. They don't want to. They can't find a parking place, and if they do got to find one, they got to pay.
Well, they
got to walk a block. They don't like that. They want to pull right in the driveway, right next to the restaurant, and go in for free.
Unfortunately, in downtowns, that doesn't happen. I mean, I know it's Erie, and but like you get a ball game night, good luck finding a place on State Street.
Right. Ball games, I would say, are a little bit different than the average person just want to go out to eat or go shopping.
But I mean, they take up all the parking spaces. Why? Because there's no parking after 6 o'clock, and they're not going into a parking ramp and paying $4 where they can. This is Erie. You know, they're not going to pay $4 in a parking ramp if they can park on the street free after 6.
Yeah.
And so then the merchants there, now they're in a real. If you want to go pick up a pizza at Steve-O's or
the
drop
people
in.
double park because they can't get to it.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed, there really isn't any other parking lots besides parking on the street that are free anyway.
No, none of them are, because the parking ramp controls those.
Right. Well, that might be a compromise, is having maybe some open parking lots, besides
that would be-
having the streets metered then.
It would be like up to the merchants to,
Right.
they used to offer that, like I was telling this gentleman, they used to have a parking program where you got your ticket validated.
I was just gonna.
Yeah, well, that's my opinion anyway.
No, it's a good opinion, and, it's came up numerous times. The problem is now you got a parking authority established that's got debt, and maybe that's a good question we're going to try to get Mr. Buchner on here from the DID, the Downtown Improvement District. Well, I'd like you to call back when he's here. Can you do that?
Yeah, sure. I watch the show off and on.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I talked to him the other day, last week, and we're playing like tag with each other. We're trying to figure out a date to get him on here, and I think he could tell you being ahead of the downtown district, with the merchants. I think
He would have more information on who
he could probably,
do something like that.
he could probably tell you their viewpoints and everything.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Yep, and call back when I get him on the show. Yeah, because I talked to him about numerous. He offers a different perspective,
Right.
Well, it's a different, basically a different perspective on what's going on.
I mean, Erie's nobody likes to think about it, but it's a big city,
Yeah.
A validation system would work again, or is it?
It could if it's done right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, Kaz. I was just listening to your wonderful discussion. You're right. The parking authority tried various methods to try to give somewhat free parking to customers that would come down to the stores. But like you said, that if they didn't have any parking meters, then the employees of various programs down there would be parking, taking up the spaces around the stores, so customers wouldn't be able to get to the stores anyway.
Well, you remember when you and I first, he worked with me years ago. When we first started, remember you would take your ticket into a store, and they would rubber stamp it.
Well, they rubber stamped it. They had postage type of stamp. They gave you a half hour to an hour or so free parking. That the cashier would then reduce the price on the ticket, make it free.
And there are even plans to put like an overhead walkway to some of these parking ramps to cut down the wind and all that. And
Yeah.
there were, it's not like we didn't try, but and see, Richard offers the other side of the argument that we had merchants tell us they don't like it when there's no control, because then their own employees can park there.
Yeah.
The other thing we tried, remember, was to issue tokens to the various stores would buy tokens to give to the customers that they could put in the meter to give them that hour or whatever free.
Yeah, there's still some of those around if you look.
Nice.
There are. But we tried some various methods. The only method we did not try, Kaz, and I don't know if it would be doable, but if some of these stores had kind of like regular customers, maybe issue like a sticker to put on their bumper or something that would allow them 1 month of free parking in those areas.
Kind of like the colleges do it,
when a
Pardon?
person
Kind of like
goes
what
up
they do at the
to
college.
check,
Yeah.
they notice the sticker, and that allows that person the free parking there. But it's up to the stores to issue the permit to let that happen.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal for us when we were, now though they're trying to go, a lot of these ramps they're trying to get rid of the attendant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
they just wanted it all automated.
But when we had, it wasn't that big of a deal for us. I mean, you got a ticket, you look, they go, put it in, thank you, have a nice day, and
Yeah.
on your way, and everybody was happy,
Yeah.
How much would you say is still? I know a lot of the parking ramps when I was there were starting to convert over to monthlies, paying on a monthly basis to park there, and it would seem like it was getting fewer and fewer available spaces for regular consumers coming in to shop in that, because the stores weren't there.
No, you're right. Well, you can remember when as college students, the argument was always, let's get the 7th Street parking ramp for students, and the parking authority would say no, because we had Boston Store open and Carlisle's, and they'd rather have the turnover than kids sitting there for 3 and 4 hours. So they, just like season tickets at a ballpark, they limited that.
Yeah.
But now, like Richard says here, it's the other way around. Now we don't have stores, so yeah, we'll let you park, for a month, give you a monthly parking rate, or
Yeah, because there's not the business downtown as what there used to be.
I would say there's a lot more now, Richard.
Yeah, I don't know how much tickets are, but I'm thinking, I don't know what the rates are anymore in the ramp. I know
It used to be, what, 50-some bucks a year one time, but...
$4 for 2 hours or something.
I mean, but your monthly was like $50 a month or something.
Something like that, yeah, back then.
But you could park anytime you wanted, night, day.
Yep.
You come downtown when downtown was booming.
What about this new system you guys are going to test out? You think that might be part of the answer? Parking?
Well, it will be from
kiosks?
this standpoint that you will not be, you don't have to carry quarters around with you.
Yeah.
That you can use your credit card, you can use your app, if it's done right, it could be like your app where, some of the restaurants are using it, put your app up to the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that now at, the movie theater and stuff.
Right.
Well, the other thing, too, that works against the parking authority getting some, to say, free parking is, where would you put it? But the shuttle service from the outer parking areas for them to park free, I guess it's free, to shuttle for like a quarter into the city and then back out to their cars. So
Yeah, some people do use that.
I guess we're trying to promote the bus service more even, too, so people use the buses to come downtown.
Well, there's no solution to parking in a downtown area, and that's the...
Well, it's going to be a tough fight
Yeah,
no matter what.
downtown, Chad. We got banks, we got some eateries there, and I don't know, we got more eateries or more beer drinking places.
Yeah, and the thing is, no matter what city you go into, you see it maybe in a Jamestown, or you see it maybe in a Meadville, but in the bigger cities, you just don't, without parking meters, it's very rare that I've ever seen that. In most towns, they try to restrict, like when you go to Chicago, there's no street side parking on a lot of streets. They force you to go into the
You have to go
ramps.
into the parking garages.
We
Well,
should.
it's like I've seen in Dunkirk and stuff, there's still parking meters all down their Central Avenue, and it's half the size of this city.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have tried the no parking thing, but,
We should flip it and look at it like it's a good thing, though, because if you have a parking problem, that means you have businesses.
Yeah.
You have people coming in, going to those businesses. It's not great to have a problem and not be able to figure it out, but there are people coming to town to do things.
this is where I think, somebody like Mr. Buchna and the merchants, they need to work with the city and tell us what they think,
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
what
would
their
they
needs are.
recommend? What do other cities do that we could try differently?
I mean, I'd like to see some of these vacant lots that are just blocked off that are out. Like there's some on State Street, there's some on 12th Street.
Well, years ago, are you still there, Richard?
I'm just thinking, one thing we've got to remember, too, if you take all the cars that are parked in those ramps, you add
Yeah.
all those ramps at 8th and French and 10th and French and by Gannon and also over behind the old, used to be Trask building, all those ramps, when you take those cars out of there, how many spaces you need for all those cars to park just on the street?
But that's what led to the parking ramps years ago, was the fact that, the parking authority was formed to solve a problem. And people don't like ramps, but you go to any major city and that's what you got.
Hey, I got to let you guys go. but
Okay, hey, thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling.
TJ, when you go to the art museum,
Yeah.
you might find that truck with the tree growing in. I think that was a piece of art.
That sounds cool.
There you go.
Hey, where's the money go from the parking meters and stuff?
Well,
I mean, it goes
it-
to the authority, but do they give it back to the city? Or?
No, a lot of it, the parking authority, I'm not sure the split now. We do get money from the parking authority.
Okay.
They do pay us in lieu of. Years ago, it used to be the ramps and the surface lots was their money. The street parking was split between the city because they maintained the meters and they policed them, collected the money. So there was a split there. But way back, you got to remember the parking authority did two things for the city that saved us money. One was when they put the Transitway Mall in. I don't know if you were here when they had it. State Street was blocked off to traffic for a while.
Yeah.
So they actually closed it off. They had sidewalks that were way out wider. all that had to be tore out when they wanted to open up the street again. City didn't have the funds.
Yeah.
So the parking authority bankrolled them in return for being able to tag on Saturdays
Yeah.
downtown, and they changed the time on the meters. Then when they built the baseball park, it was a matching fund type of deal. We'll give you X amount of millions of dollars, but you have to match it. Well, we don't have it. So the parking authority built a parking ramp, which would be, the state accepted it because that would be where people would park to go to the game.
Right.
So they saw as it would be used for other things during the daytime, but on baseball day nights or days, it would be used for baseball. So they funded those two projects. Now they have a lot of debt. So when they collect revenue, it goes to maintenance,
Yeah.
purchasing new meters,
Right.
retiring their debt on parking ramps, because they were started to do one thing: create parking. Ramps are not cheap.
Yeah.
No, that's a big
Sir,
project to build.
it's like behind your building. That was a public parking lot at one time.
Really.
We had a lot of those little public parking lots,
Yeah.
Right.
but over the years,
They probably had to sell them off because
as downtown died off, businesses bought them or for their use. They
Yeah,
put,
that's what some of it is now, and it's like the parking lot is used for certain businesses, but then when it's not being used, it's just an empty lot.
when I started, I had to keep them all in my head. I had to clean them all. That was Doc and I used to have to clean them along with, we had a summer crew, clean the glass out of them, keep them up in the maintenance. That all changed as more parking ramps got built.
What about possibly working out some type of deal with some of the new owners of the lots to share the lot somehow? So
Well, you
can
could,
let
but
people
there's
park.
always insurance issues.
Yeah.
If you notice, like, people used to park up in the Marine, not the Marine, PNC Bank now, or Mike, come on, Kaz, wake up. That parking ramp behind the Warner, that two-level one that belongs to PNC.
Right.
They used to park in there. People used to park in Erie Insurance's parking lots.
Right.
Yeah.
For a while that was okay, but then probably when they got a little, fender benders and people get, all of a sudden,
Right.
lawsuits being lawsuits,
Yeah, who's covering what and who's responsible for what?
which is why, you always have to, people used to get mad. I give you a prime, people used to go on football trips, park up at Liberty Plaza. Nobody really cared on the weekend, nobody's using it, so.
Right.
Right, exactly.
But the owner had him either towed one time or he was making a point that he didn't want nothing in there, And, sometimes you don't know what led that business to do that, but it was something. Either, somebody complained or...
Well, somebody could still go out and maybe talk to some of the owners and find out if they could, open up again, because you could make a clause that, okay, well, my insurance doesn't cover it during the weekend.
Well, this is something that, along with you would hope like the DID would do that along with, work in
Parking
conjunction.
authority. Be able to work with some of these businesses.
It's why you it's why you, farm out things like that so that, you have people that, like when they went to the parking authority concept, let them worry about the parking,
Right.
let them do their job but parking is $1 million. No matter where you go, people don't like to. I was in Philly just not too long ago. Just to park there for your room in a hotel
Right.
was
Philly, it was like $40 a day, wasn't it?
it was 30-some just for the parking.
Yeah.
And then they had a 25% parking tax that the city issued. This is the same city that has a tax on soda beverages, sugared beverages. So if you go outside the city limits, they got signs. Buy your Coca-Cola here,
Yeah, because it's cheaper than trying to buy it in the city.
But I mean, we're pretty. Like going to a game. I don't know what they get now. It used to be 1, 2, then 3. I think it's like $4. What, it's a lot of money for some people. But if you go out of town like I do, you know,
It's cheap compared to some of the other places out there. I mean, even downtown Buffalo and stuff is expensive.
I was in an airport that listened to this: free parking. Peoria Airport, free parking.
Wow.
You don't see it often. I mean, not even in Erie do you got free parking, But like in Cleveland now, you got this battle. You know, you get all these private ones across the road, Park and Fly and all those, and
Yeah.
same thing in Pittsburgh, you know. Buffalo too, you know. And then you got the airports, which are suffering, so they're lowering their rates. You got like a war going on. If you're a consumer,
Competition.
it's great. Hey, you go to one, they give you a newspaper, coffee, bring your car up to you warmed. At the one, if you call from the airport in Pittsburgh, they get your car warmed up for you, if you want it.
Bring it up to the door, valet parking.
Yeah, they got it all ready for you, you know.
You know what I'm thinking about now?
What's that?
The one caller had the comment that Erie is a different kind of town.
Yeah,
And
I've heard that a lot.
It's great that Erie is a different kind of town, but when you let, you know, some mindsets rule that way, like it's a different kind of town, then nobody's going to be open to new things and better things.
I think I've always felt, and I'll get nailed for this, Erie has always looked for its identity.
I think it's still trying to find its identity.
I think you're right.
That's the attitude I've seen.
Are you an out-of-towner?
I'm from out of town originally. I'm not originally from Erie.
Where are you from?
not a
I'm
native
originally from
either.
Dunkirk, New York.
Okay, see, my wife can see it. I can't. DJ, you can see it.
Yep.
He probably see it. It's like they don't know, and I don't use this. Don't use it in a negative way. Not quite sure if they want to be Mayberry or Metropolis.
Yeah.
Okay, to put comic book.
It comes also with the same attitude on it feels for businesses.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
You see the idea they want to get these huge, big businesses in, but then it's like they don't focus on the small businesses that could be here already.
yeah, we're like searching for identity constantly. Like, now I go to Allentown where they're transitioning now into. They're not going to be like I won't say Cleveland, but they might be like Rochester.
Right.
You know, they might be a town of a couple 100,000 in the area or something like that. So, you know, you're seeing all the growing pains. Erie was like that for a while. We were going up the ladder, and then but even in the whole metropolitan area, we're kind of stagnant. But
Yeah.
you know, you get one vision up on Peach Street, and then you get another vision somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
The transition.
people in Erie are frugal, yes, you know, and that's not a bad trait, okay? But it creates problems when you get somebody that brings in, like downtown, a very high-class restaurant, which caters to, you know, maybe a very limited market, and then you try to balance that with different other things, you know. It becomes a struggle, you know.
Well, I've noticed even just like looking for places to rent to be able to do businesses, it's tough in Erie because the rental market's so high. I mean, when I'm looking for like a garage space and you can only find maybe find one garage space and they want $500 a month for it, and I go to a city in Erie or go to a city in Dunkirk, and $500 will get me like 4-car garage.
And see, this is what's happening. You know, people look at Allentown and they wonder what happened. Well, the Philadelphia, New York people decided they can put up with an hour-and-a-half commute. You know, because they can have a nice house in Allentown. Now, maybe the people who live in Allentown can't afford that big house, but the people in New York and Philly, they got the nice
They
big.
can.
But yet they don't have that good of a job in Philly. You know, they can live out in King of Prussia or someplace, or out in Bucks County where it's a little more, you know, elite. You know, so they're transitioning. And see, years ago in Erie, you saw that there were like neighborhoods that were stepping stones. You could see where your life would take you. You know, if you
Yeah,
wanted
transition
to.
lines on where you wanted to go or what you can afford and be able to grow.
But then there's other people like when you read about Dan Rooney, the owner of the Steelers, who never moved out of his neighborhood. You know, that's kind of me. See, I don't. If I made a lot of money, I still wouldn't care. But you know, I'd want to live where I lived. Okay.
Oh yeah, well it's your house, it's your area where you're used to for so long.
Yeah, when you're with friends and you're comfortable, you know, what do you really need? You know, but you're right though. When you look at Erie, it's kind of like they don't quite know whether
Yeah.
they're
You want the big city or the small city?
Yeah, they don't know if they're the small big city or they want to be the large little city. I mean, little burg like, you know.
Right.
They just can't. And
Well, that's a lot of the comparisons. They try to compare it with Pittsburgh a lot, and it's like we're not big enough to compare it with Pittsburgh, but we're not small enough to compare it to some of these small
but
towns.
fathom this, for a town our size, okay, Philharmonic Orchestra, a couple of different ballet companies,
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Drive-In Playhouse. At one time we had, let's see, well now we got 3 pro sports. Okay. At one time we had the 4th indoor football. We had a women's football team. We have a touring soccer team that I think they're considered semi-pro. So, you know, you got all these things out there. We even had an outdoor football team for a while. So you got all these things in a hopper. You got a zoo. Yeah.
Yeah, the zoo's pretty nice
The
too.
zoo for our size is
Yeah.
not even Allentown is a zoo as nice as ours. Okay. And, you know, everybody said, oh, you know that. We got a lot. Maybe sometimes I think we got too much. So we're kind of like,
We're in the middle.
yeah, you know,
And it
we're
seems
leaning towards being a big city, but yet our attitudes are still a little bit, you know, we still like value, and that's not bad, okay?
Right.
But it makes it tough when somebody comes in with a different idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I remember the Irish fishermen were here, and they might have charged a little bit more, but hey, you know what? That was fresh ocean fish, okay?
Yeah.
So Erie's kind of a tight market sometimes. You know, you don't have a lot of. We could use more people, you know, so that things could happen a little easier. But the identity, I noticed that myself, is that I tell people all the time, you got to believe in, you know, we're as good as anybody. We are. You just got to believe in yourself, you know.
Well, I think we could kind of, you know, shift our identity in one direction or another if we had some more options, you know, and by options I mean some more businesses in the area.
Well, you know, you got to, number one, you got to create the atmosphere,
Yep.
Right.
and then you got to find people who are willing to do it, okay?
Yeah.
And I think some of the things like Gannon's doing with the small business thing, those help.
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Ted. Yeah, I was able to call you back. I had a call that already interrupted me there. But anyway, you know what I was thinking for the city of Erie, because of its location, and maybe DJ and others can maybe add to it, information-wise, why don't we get a museum or some kind of attraction in the city of Erie that incorporates this area? Remember, Lake Erie was established by glaziers, and underneath Lake Erie is a great big salt mine where all the Morton salt and all the road salt is being extracted and all. Why can't we get some kind of an attractive program to say the history of this area going back to the prehistoric time, what animals would have been in this area?
Well, I think, Doc, the Ridge Center was a kind of like an attempt at that.
Yes.
You know, where they were trying to show the ecology of the peninsula.
They don't have much there.
No, but it's a work in progress. You know, they put it there.
Yeah.
Now they have to keep it going or expand it. I'll give you an example. Years ago, they talked about an aquarium here.
Right.
But then they did some research and found out that very few aquariums make money, very costly, and there was a debate whether we could support one. But it did come up about, a freshwater aquarium, showcasing, freshwater fish. You could have a couple of shark in there and stuff, but basically it would have been for ours. But here's a prime. You come from a region, Doc, that surprised me. Okay? You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm amazed that, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is to blame for part of this, why they never built up the Titusville and the Pit Hole and the Oil City region down there, as a birthplace of oil. They dabble with it, but think about if they invested money in that village of Pit Hole and actually built a couple of houses that looked like the old town did, and you could tie the railroad's a good example down there. You could tour around the area there and take in the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? You
would think the auto manufacturers would back that in a heartbeat.
But and he brings up, our Commonwealth doesn't do things like, you go to Virginia, and they got Colonial Williamsburg, and they got Jamestown, where
Yeah, some of the first settlements and stuff.
Right,
I'm surprised that we haven't done anything like, even just for the city and around the area, is more of like an industrial background because of, there was such big of an industrial, there's a lot of stuff here, back from the trains and the lake.
Well, they even talked about making a fishing village along the waterfront and then incorporating into a modern-day living village. In other words...
Well, they were going to restaurant once, right?
Pardon?
We're going to incorporate that one big that one chip they wanted to make into a restaurant, floating restaurant.
Yeah, they did. In fact, I was the controller when they presented the menu and all that. Didn't work out, but Doc, think about this. Think about it, renovating the waterfront, making it into a period type village, and then you would have people walking around pretending they're sailors or fishermen. At the same time, these buildings would be occupied by current businesses, and you could go in there and you could have a meal or grab an ice cream cone or something.
Yeah, go to the shops and stuff and show,
But they
what used to be here.
and you could mix in the history part of it with it. They talked about that, but those things.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, like down at the Bayfront, where they're going to, put in if you want a building in which you can be showing DVDs of, say, Titusville or Pit Hole or Vicksburg, so that people that come into this area by way of the interstate, that the hotel there, they can see what's in this area that they can visit besides just Erie.
What scares me is, though, they keep cutting they're cutting the funding on the Niagara, they're cutting the funding for Pit Hole and Titusville, the museum and all that, and you know what?
I don't know if you'd be cutting into the funds. I'm thinking that it would.
Well, they did shut down Pit Hole. You don't even have the volunteer caretakers not there even anymore.
I don't know if you have many photos of old Pit Hole too, but there may be some in Titusville.
Well, they got. You know where they have them? They have them in the museum. But I met the young lady that's the curator down there, and I said, "Boy, it would sure be nice if they had these." They're trying to do them digitally so people can, access them on their computer.
Right.
Because they have many of what they call there was a gentleman, Dara, who took a lot of the pictures in the oil region,
Right.
But even up here, I think people would love to see pictures of what the old city looked like and the waterfront,
Yeah, what it used to look like years ago. I remember stopping at the Maritime Center and the museum down there, and there's one of the old generators there from the used to be the power plant.
Yeah, you're right.
And then there's a map on the wall that showed on where the old railroads and where the old huge docks used to be.
I hope you're here. We're going to try to get Jerry Skripczak on here again, or maybe a gentleman he wrote a book with, David Frew.
What I'm thinking is you build
They were talking.
down here at the Bayfront, maybe showing, like I say, DVDs or talks about the history of this area from the glacier periods and everything to modern day today and all the other surrounding areas, even say Buffalo and Cleveland. What other sightseers can see. They're not taking away, but they're incorporating, adding more interest in those areas, and particularly centering on most of the Erie special features, so that they will too get the business or return business if the people come to the convention center there for something, can come back and say, I'm going to come back to go see this,
Yeah, people that come up here love the waterfront. I tell you that right now.
Well, that's just it. And maybe even have, here's another thing too, I don't know how many, if there's any place down here, to say if I come up here, I never water ski. Can I go someplace to maybe learn to water ski or have maybe just the experience of water skiing once or twice,
Yep. Well, we got to get off the air, Doc, so.
Okay, well, hey, thanks for putting on a show.
We'll see you next week.
One question, too.
Yeah.
The county government get on this taxpayer hotline?
Can they?
Can they?
Pardon?
They come and talk on this taxpayer hotline with you?
If they wanted to. I've had, the last one that was on here was Councilman Andre Horton. He was on here.
Okay. I just was wondering if this is restricted to...
No, it's not restricted to anybody. I mean, if they want to come on, they got some, that's...
Oh, no, I mean sit there with you like DJ does.
Yeah. I mean, the show's open to anybody who wants to come on here. As long as you're in bounds of good taste, you're not going to...
Doc, I just sit here because of my good looks.
He stimulates my when I used to do the show myself, you sit there talking to yourself.
Another thing I wanted you to know, yesterday, they had a program about some guys from Titusville that are down in Pittsburgh restoring homes. And as soon as they restore them, they sell them, but they're in the blighted areas of Pittsburgh. They're doing this.
Yep.
I don't know if I can get a name or something like that, see if they might take an interest in trying that in Erie, too.
Well, we got a lot of good volunteer groups here that want to get involved.
Okay.
All right, Doc, thanks for calling.
All right, take care.
You too. You want to busy that out? We're good.
Yeah, we do have a lot of volunteer groups here that want to help in the city.
Right, that worked out.
And
That's what we need. We need more people
More
that
help,
want to
more
do
people.
stuff.
we just got to find a way, and I'm hoping as this plan progresses, this comprehensive plan, that we, as the land bank and everything gets going and things start falling into place, that we don't forget the volunteer groups, the churches that send out work crews. If you're watching them go through the high schools and all that, they're out there and they're ready to help. That's their mission. And we got to reach out to them. We really do.
Yeah,
All right.
all work
Well,
together.
with that, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much. It was a good show.
He's been quiet out there.
Very quiet. That's because you turned the phone off.
We,
Oh,
we-
him, that guy. Yo. Yeah,
Hey, it's a pleasure to be. You can see you guys next week, maybe?
probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah. I got nothing else.
try my best.
We'll get
Not
you
like
here.
I want to be at work.
Actually, a lady asked me about a problem, and I gave her your number.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble now.
Well, they're saying they're having trouble with the this channel here
Oh,
again.
I will fix it. I will take care of that.
Yeah, we can fix whatever we need.
They haven't cut us off the air, have they? With
He's working on it. He's in there sweating it.
Yeah, and he just
they're
did.
not cutting us off with
Nope.
Charter, are they?
We don't know yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.